subscribe, and ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So this is a review of the Big Finish release, Doctor Who, Charlotte Pollard, The Further Adventuress. Charlotte Pollard was the first companion with Paul McGann back in, what was it, 2002, maybe? 2001, 2000, I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was 99. No, it wasn't 99. It was, I think, 2002 to 2003. Great companion and Doctor combination. I love that era. Absolutely adored that era because it felt like Big Finish was pushing Doctor Who forward with it still being, organically a really core of what Doctor Who is, but pushing it forward into like the into the 2000s. Like, just a great series of adventures. So, they as many try to do today, they try and recapture that old magic. And I was initially very, very optimistic about this release. I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Sadly, not a recommend. It was a real slog to get through it. It was like, oh my God, it took me a month, right? It's the end of February right now. It came out at the end of January. It took me a month, and I started listening to it straight away. I just couldn't force myself through it because it wasn't that great, and it fails in quite a number of ways. Before we get into it, can you hit the like button? That would be very, very nice, which is more than I did for this release. Can you hit the like button? Can you hit the share button? And can you hit the subscribe button? All those things are fantastic. All those things are absolutely fantastic. Like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe to my Substack. It's an email newsletter. It really helps me out if you do that. If you click on that link and subscribe, it really helps me out. Not quite as much it helps me out if you join the paid one. That's awfully good. And again, so I'm not awfully good. Is this? I'm gonna show you. And again, it's a real disappointment because I was so excited for this. I thought, they were really going to pull this one together. Fine. So let's go through. There are 4 standalone stories in towards the beginning of Charlie and the Eighth Doctor's time, and generally speaking, they're not able to recapture that tone. For me, it's predominantly too cutesy, too throwaway, and it's weird. They got this strange format, and I don't think they did these with the Charlie's release. I think they had them like, as I recall, they were like 45-minute episodes. You had like, instead of having like 2 25-minute episodes, you had 45-minute episodes. You had one episode on a side of a disc. So they got to this thing where they're doing these. There are 4 stories each with 2 30-minute episodes. It just seemed like a weird shape of to do it in. I don't really know why. Again, it didn't help it. That didn't particularly hurt it, but it didn't particularly help it either. So a great cover, by the way. Really, really like this cover. Everything about this, I was excited about. Right, I was genuinely excited about. So let's read the blurb. 4 new adventures featuring the Eighth Doctor and his Edwardian companion Charlotte Pollard. 1, the Mummy Speaks. So this is the only good one on the disc, right? This is the absolutely only good one on the disc. One second. Did Big Finish... Are they giving this away for free? I think they did. Mummy Speaks Part 1. So yeah, I know. It's you get the first part of a 2-part story. Yeah. Carnival in Paris, 1841. Amid the sideshow's tents, the Doctor and Charlie discover something truly novel: an ancient Egyptian mummy that speaks, despite being dead for 4,000 years. What the mummy has to say translates into terror for the TARDIS twosome and proclaims doom for the entire world. So this one really worked. It's written by Alan Barnes. Alan Barnes always a reliable. Very, very, very rarely writes a duffer. This one feels right to me. Right, this one feels. It had that kind of like romantic adventure feeling of those early 2000s, and it's got a good villain, it's got a good story, it's got a good idea behind it, and it's got a good shape of the story. So it's all often the way on these Big Finish things. You get one really good story, right? And I won't even say it's really good. This is a story. I listened to this one first, and I was so psyched, right? I was so optimistic, like, Big Finish have turned it around. And I'm really hoping they are. But I think that ship, it's like turning around an oil tanker. So I think that ship is going to be slow to turn around, right? I really, really do. Where we are right now, I think we're in, I am hoping, right? We're in season 24. What does that mean? Season 24, I like it a lot now. I have a lot of affection for it. I'm very, very, very glad I got the Blu-rays of it, so I got to, reevaluate it. But that was them turning the ship around, and you can't do it on a dime. But yeah, so it's a bit sad. So I like they use predominantly, set writing talent, or like the established writing talent that know this Doctor and know this companion, except for Lisa McMillan. I think the weakest story on in the box set, which really slowed me down, because then you had things like Annihilators come out, and I was like, oh, forget this, I'll get me going to that. So the collective noun for swarm moth is an eclipse. And when their chittering nightmares hellstrung descend on the forest canopy on the planet Petron, they threaten to snuff out lives of human settlers. Wanting to know what stirred up the hellstrong, the Doctor and Charlie venture deep in the woods where darkness falls. So so this one, again, one of the weakest ones in it. The tone is off. It's preachy and horrific, right? I think more horrific than preachy. I think it was too dark and too preachy. In the making of, at the end of it, Lisa McMillan talks about how she's happy to write for Charlie because, women back then just didn't have any agency, and it's just, oh God, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Okay. The sexual politics, I think, of yesteryear is somewhat akin to Muslim countries today, right? Where men and women have different rights. But the truth is, most people have no rights. Okay, that's just the reality. Whether you're male or you're female, if you're one of the people in charge, you have rights, right? If you're wealthy, you have rights, but you don't have intrinsic rights. And so, in antiquity, or even in history, not antiquity, the men and women were treated reasonably equally, which was terribly. Your average serf had no more agency than your average black slave in America in the 1880s, right? Assuming slavery wasn't abolished by then, because I am useless at history. But that's just the reality, and I understand women were disadvantaged in a different way from men. And as we move to industrialization, right, women were left behind. There was about a lag of about 50 years. That kind of ended about 50 years ago. Okay, so and it was so clear that this is the thing that she wanted to talk about. Also, it was like an ecological thing, and it doesn't work. You need a lot of skill to be able to tell a story and make a point without making the point the story, right? Malcolm Hugh is your go-to person. If you can tell an ecological thriller like Inferno, which is what it essentially is, and have it, and a rip-roaring story at the same time, you're doing good. Lisa McMillan, on the evidence of this one, just doesn't have that talent or ability, and I doubt she ever will do, because she has a significant disadvantage being a woman, that she will get jobs more easily in the current climate, and she will never be held to account for doing things not very well. So this one just it was weak. It was weak, and she feels kind of shoehorned in, because they said, well, we can't only have men writing this. What about Jacqueline Reinert? Didn't she write for the Eighth Doctor and Charlie? It just seems something more organic for that. Okay, so the slaying of the writhing mass by Eddie Robinson was a disappointment. Way too cutesy. Way too cutesy. The Doctor and Charlie become trapped in a temporal traffic jam caused by. You just feel like he feels like he's being really funny and clever. Mildly funny, clever. Traffic caused by time tourists come to witness a pivotal event in the history of the planet. Lieko, the slaying of the writhing mass, the earthly entity, the alien entity that enslaved the Lakeans in their infancy. The legend of the hero Salan killed the mass with a single stone, setting Lakeans free. But what was the math exactly, and what if the legend was wrong? Obviously, the legend was wrong, right? You work that out from the first few minutes. So you go, oh, clearly this is a time loop, timey-wimey thing. It's either the Doctor or Charlie or this other stunning and brave female character. Yeah, this both of these ones. Oh no, I think going through these three stories: the Eclipse, Slaying of the Rising Mass, and Heart of Orion. They will never, ever, ever give a masculine role to a man, right? That's it's got to have. Let's subvert expectations and have the stunning and brave masculine character be played by a woman. Yeah, again, it was clever in 1961, 62 when you had. Honor Blackman do in Henry's lines in the Avengers, but again, we're 50 years on from that. We're literally 50 years on from that. So anyway, the Doctor, so there's a this cutesy temporal traffic jam. They get a distress call, and so they try and leapfrog their way through it. There's this is a time traveling species from the far future in time that the Time Lords don't really know much about. That didn't sit well with me. I mean, if you're outside of time, how do you not know? Fine, whatever. Doesn't really matter. But there's this school bus going to see the slaying of the writhing mass, and you got like a stroppy school kid and a like a obnoxious policeman played by a woman, right? Again, it's. I just it's just relentless. It's just relentless, and on top of that, it's not a particularly good story. It's a very story where everything's very much signposted and uneventful and just irritating. The cutesiness of it is simply irritating. Finally, we have Heart of Orion by the normally a perfect, fantastic Nicholas Briggs, right? This is a complete failure. This story is a complete failure. Heart of Orion. So I knew it was a sequel to Sword of Orion, which was the weakest of the that first season of the Eighth Doctor and Charlie stories. It was the weakest of it because they didn't have much notice, so they reused old scripts from when they were fans. And there was a fan version of Sword of Orion with Nick Briggs playing the Doctor, which was actually the best version of it, right? It was far better than the Paul McGann version of it. But there's a whole complicated lore and world building they build up with that. How there's been an android war with the humans and Cybermen are involved. And so you got this like complex world building that they go back to, and this is more than anything, I would say, a pointless sequel that doesn't really do anything other than just makes me look at my watch and hope it's going to be finished soon, right? And that's really why this review took so long. The TARDIS intercepts a strange signal, returning the Doctor and Charlie to the Garazone system. So the soundscape they recreate perfectly. It sounds like they use the same files. Like they're in the Garazone system is kind of like this space bazaar, which at the time we hadn't seen before in Doctor Who, other than comic strips. Now we see it quite a lot. But yeah, they got the soundscape for that was identical to what it was before. Where they once had a terrifying encounter with the Cybermen and foiled a bid to change the course of the terrible android-human war. Now people are going missing all over Garazone, and the Orion War is far from over, and the Doctor and Charlie have landed in the heart of it again. So again, yeah, it's very, very, very much dependent on Sword of Orion and knowing it well. And remembering plot details from that, which they reiterate, but it's like, I just didn't care. The story was not engaging enough to carry me through. There's a policewoman in this as well. Not a policeman, again, and it's like, if it wasn't every story, it wouldn't be such a problem, but it's every story. And so, here and there is fine, but everyone, it just seems a rather loud piece of agenderizing. I just don't think Big Finish have the room to do this sort of thing anymore. I mean, like, they really, really don't. Even with 4 established writers, this is one really stale release, right? And I'm really sad to say that. It's a really, really stale release. I do hope they don't do any more of these. The whole Paul McGann range is completely failing and floundering. They did the Stranded thing, which was an interesting idea, maybe for a box set or two, but 4, no, it isn't. And again, it was all about current day sexual politics. They had Liv Schenker, Paul McGann's current companion, is now because she's from the future where Era's more enlightened. She's in a relationship with another woman who has a penis. It sounds just very 2022, and also kind of that character is very, very pivotal to everything, because that's just pivotal to everything. That's just what the world is like today, you know. I'm hoping this is going to be one of the. Again, I'm feeling that they're turning the boat round. You know, I mean, compared to this month's releases, this was last month's. February has been a much stronger month, right? Much stronger month. First, we had the Annihilators, which I thought was excellent. Lone Centurion wasn't really for me. I'm like bored with it. They're rebooting Survivors. I'm not going back. Because the product isn't as good as it used to be. Short Trips, you can give it to me free. But this one, this Night's Doctor, which was their main two releases of this month, have been very good, which I would say were Annihilators and Old Friends. This 2-part Cybermen season finale, excellent. And you know, I just got Space 1999, so I'm just hoping they're turning it around, right? I'm hoping they're turning it around. This one was not a recommend, though, right? It's really for the completists, right? It's not obnoxiously bad, which many releases have been. It's not obnoxiously bad. It's just really strongly mediocre, right? Really strongly mediocre. I'll give this at best a 5 out of 10, and that's being generous. Only that's being generous. What a disappointment! What another disappointment! So yeah, my next review will be Earthbound. But I'm not even sure what the next Doctor Who release is. They got 8th of March, not interested. The Tom Baker stuff, that's coming out next month. Minor Hojet's coming out next month. That's the one I'm looking forward to. Okay, so again, my deepest hope is Big Finish are turning things around. On the evidence of this one, they are not. So let's see what the future will bring. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe. And ring the little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.